Mason in Duluth, Minnesota. Here's where he wanted to go. Joel Klatt called all Cinderellas and March Madness stupid. Why do all you national voices hate on the little guy? David beat Goliath, Boise beat Oklahoma, and UCF went undefeated. We remember those stories more than the Giants. But keep this up for a second, Bradley. This is really just a breathless screenshot. I'm really glad we screenshot this. Past tense of screenshot. Okay, so they start throwing shots at Klatt, which, okay, if he deserves it, he deserves it. And then I got lumped in, and I hadn't said anything about Cinderellas, but I'm about to, because Mason insisted if I'm going to get blamed for it, I might as well do it. He said, why do all you national voices hate on the little guy? You might be wondering to yourself, what warranted all this? Well, here's what happened. I'm going to do something in order, because this is probably the order it happened to you in. You know sometimes how you see a snapshot or a small soundbite of something, and you get outraged by it, and then you go on to learn the context of it 2 weeks later, and you're like, wow, I probably shouldn't have gotten as outraged as I did over that. That is what is happening to Klatt. Admittedly, he brought a lot of this on himself, but Klatt went on Next Round Live. Those guys are friends of the program. Klatt's a friend of the program. And so we're just talking about a bunch of friends of the program getting together, and he did a segment. Now, what you probably saw quote edits like this, or quote graphics like this. And if you're listening on podcast, just imagine scrolling through your social feed, and there's a picture of Klatt. Looks like he's somewhere very sunny and happy. And then there's a quote at the top, and it says, quote, "We don't want Cinderellas. We want the best teams playing each other at the end. The NCAA basketball tournament is a joke. It's the dumbest tournament and the least fair tournament in all of sports." Now, they started throwing babies off of buildings moments after that was posted, and you can imagine why. That means Joel Klatt hates underdogs. He wants the G5 to just die entirely. Just die on the vine. Just cut them loose. We're in it for the big boys and nothing more. We're better than you, and we know it. That's Joel Klatt, right? I, in the interest of fairness, had the staff dig into the archives, and I know it may be irresponsible, but I thought that maybe we needed to provide context and play the entire soundbite. Now, I got to warn you, this is not going to fully absolve Klatt. In many of your minds, there's still going to be fair amounts of egregiousness in what is said here. But before we break it down, I just wanted to let people know the full context of what was actually said. So this was Next Round Live a couple of days ago. Roll it, Bradley.
The reason the group of five is included in this playoff is to avoid antitrust litigation. That's it, guys. Like, we're not looking for a Cinderella. Nobody cares in football about James Madison or you know, the equivalent of George Mason going. Didn't George Mason go to the Final Four or something like that? Nobody cares in football about that. We don't want Cinderellas. We want the best teams playing each other at the end. In fact, hot take. I mean, like the hottest of all takes that I've ever had in my entire life. The NCAA basketball tournament is a joke. It's the dumbest tournament and the least fair tournament in all of sports. We go and we put teams at odd times on neutral sites in a one-game affair. Like, that doesn't crown a true champion. We're not doing anything that tells us who's the best team over the course of the entire season. You know, like, if anything, the NCAA basketball tournament should act exactly like the old World Cup, which we should have groups. They should all get guaranteed 3 games, and they should be played at the higher seeds arena so that those seeds are rewarded for a quality game. And that way we don't just get to see, like, you know, Kentucky one and done against George Mason or something like that. Well, that's stupid.
The chat is already filling up with the usual suspects. All right, some of that was insane. I'm going to grant you that. I just want to say the foundation of it, I at least understand. The foundation of it is sound. Not all the parts of it. The foundation of it is sound. So a couple of quotes there. Number one, the G5 is in the college football playoff to avoid litigation is basically true. I'm not asking you what makes you feel good. I just want you for a second to stop screaming, lower the caps lock on the keyboard, just sit still for a second. That's not incorrect. They are present in the playoff. They're granted an auto bid in the playoff because if they're not, then there will be lawsuits filed immediately. So that part's accurate. Now, whether you think it's also morally sound that they're included in the playoff, that's your own business, that's your own opinion. He's got his, I've got mine, you've got yours. But he is right, because in no other merit-based world where we just judged these teams on a static scale of quality, of resources, and therefore what you do with the resources and the results on the field and strength of schedule, in no world would James Madison be in the playoff. But the parameters of the playoff right now are that we take the 5 highest-ranked conference champs. So by every current rule, James Madison is in the playoff and should be in the playoff. I don't disagree with that. Tulane is in the playoff and should be in the playoff. I don't disagree with the structure. I don't disagree with the body of the playoff this year based on the current rules. What he's saying is the rules are the way they are right now, because if they weren't that way, then someone would get sued really quickly. He is correct about that. That always gets twisted into, well, you must hate the G5. Oh, man, you must hate the little guy. Oh, you're just a corporate shill. Oh, man, you're just in it for the money. I deal with that all the time. I left corporate media, by the way. I bought my show from CBS so I could leave corporate media, so I could be free of the very thing that people accuse me of. And yet, anytime you state an opinion that's contrary to what the G5 mafia out there that roams the internet wants you to say, it's not just we differ in opinion, but we can still go and have ice cream on Sunday. It's you hate us and you're bought and paid for, and I sit here and I know good and well no one's bought and paid for us because we own our own show. And yet we can't fight the allegations. It's really tough. So I wanted to play one more soundbite that I haven't seen widely aggregated on the internet. This was the same interview. This was just moments later. Bradley, cue up SOT 2. This is Klatt.
In order to separate it out, the group of 5 will have to be incentivized somehow, and specifically from a financial perspective, to go play their own championship. I think that would be better for them anyways. But if that doesn't happen and they get cut out of the finances, they will sue and will wind up in court, and they'll be in the playoff moving forward.
That's been the same point that's been made on this show. Hey, quick time out here. Are you subscribed to the channel? It doesn't cost anything. It's free. Please do it. It helps us maintain the show at this level. That's it. That's all I got. Back to the clip. So you notice, like, if you really hated the G5, you'd just say piss on the G5. That's not what he did, despite the fact that that part didn't get shared widely, and that's not what I've ever done on this show. Anytime you got a problem with something, you ought to have a solution for it. So if your problem is, man, it makes little sense that we've got 136 teams pretending to play the same caliber of the sport, you need to have a solution. That solution he just presented is the same one we've shared on this show, and that is a G5 playoff. Now, when we've presented this is not the first time this has happened on this show. The chat just fills up and the comment section just fills up with, no, that's not fair because you're excluding us. You're boxing us out. You're already boxed out. You're already boxed out because the natural order of things boxes you out. And that's why it's really dumb to talk about Cinderellas in college football. There aren't Cinderellas in college football. There never will be Cinderellas in college football. In fact, we grow further and further and further away from the possibility of a Cinderella every day, because once upon a time, Boise State 07 existed, and there wasn't a monumental gap between them and Oklahoma because it was possible for the players at Boise to stay there 4 years. Nowadays, there are mechanisms like the portal and NIL that make it to where even if a G5 team did just hit the lottery with a recruiting class, and they just smoked everyone on evaluation and even smoked everyone on development, you'd get 1 to 2 years in with that crop of players, and then the big boys would take notice, and you'd get rated. Not just your players, but your coaching staff. They'd all get rated. I know because it's happening. So I even think it's bad faith to use Cinderella stories of years gone by, like UCF 2017 or Boise 07. Those will never happen again. They'll never happen again because the moment they start to happen, the players get poached. So you're already boxed out. What would make sense is a world fully subsidized, fully funded, that creates a national championship you can actually chase and win. That's the solution. So it's not just the problem, it's the solution. Now, the crazier parts of this were when Klatt started talking about how we're not looking for a Cinderella. I fully get what he's I fully get what he's putting down there. What he's saying is, in football, we don't really believe in Cinderellas. He's right about that. All right, forever, one of the rules on this show is do not apply football logic to basketball and do not apply basketball logic to football, because they are apples to oranges as far as comparing in college sports. Likewise, when we talk about Cinderellas and people look at the G5, well, you got to have G5 inclusion. Why? We love Cinderellas. No, we love Cinderellas in college basketball. We love them because we think they're possible in basketball. When Klatt said, oh, no one wants to talk about a Cinderella. We're not looking for a Cinderella. We're not looking for a Cinderella in college football because it's impossible for one to happen in college football, because every mechanism of the portal and NIL makes it such that the moment a Cinderella starts to pop its head up, i.e. 07 Boise or 2017 UCF, if 07 Boise or 2017 UCF even started to happen today, they'd get raided. They'd all get portaled. The players would leave. The coaches would leave. I know that because it's happening. So there is no Cinderella opportunity in football. So instead, what we've trained our mind to do is we've trained our mind to understand, unlike basketball, you're not making a run in football. Because in football, you get to put your hands on people for 4 quarters. And bigger, faster, stronger really does win 9/10 of the time. And if it doesn't win on one Saturday, then it's probably going to win on the next one. So no one's stringing together 3 or 4 wins and winning a national title or even going to the semifinals or the national title game as a Cinderella in college football. But when my guy said that the NCAA tournament in basketball is a joke, now that's where I had to sit back for a second and say, hold on now. Hold on. I rewound it because I always believe in listening twice, just in case I misheard something, but I didn't mishear it. And Joel Klatt, not a big NCAA tournament fan in basketball. I actually think the NCAA tournament's amazing, but that's because I know that Cinderellas can exist in college basketball. And the point he's making is that's not the best way to crown the best team in college basketball. I never looked at the NCAA tournament as doing that. I don't really think there is a way that captures the public's imagination like the NCAA tournament does to crown a real, true best team over the course of a season in college basketball. The college basketball season plays out the way it does, and then you have this amazing spectacle of a tournament in April. It's a little bit randomized. Yes, the 2 seed can fall to the 15 seed, and yes, your season just abruptly comes to an end like a record scratch. That's the way it is. Tough. In football, I don't think like that, but in basketball, I view basketball in a vacuum. I view football in a vacuum. They don't overlap for me. I learned very few lessons from the structure of college basketball that I apply to the structure of college football. So March Madness makes sense because the concept of a Cinderella in basketball makes sense. The minute we start talking about G5 inclusion and the pros and cons of it in college football, and someone throws like Florida Gulf Coast at me or George Mason at me, I just turn the volume down. Like, you have no idea what you're talking about. You have no idea what you're talking about. Now, the NCAA basketball tournament is not a joke. It's awesome, but that's because you have to properly consume it. You're not looking to crown the best team over the course of a whole season. That's never been what that tournament was about. Does it reward the hot team at the right time? Could you just get red hot from 3 and buzzsaw your way to the Sweet 16 or the Elite 8 over teams that were favored by double digits? Yes, that's basketball. That's basketball. If you don't like it, watch football, which is what I choose to do, ironically. So, yeah, man, there were some weird points made there. I don't necessarily think that if I lifted Klatt's shirt, there would be a barcode on his lower back that proves he's been bought and paid for simply because he shared an opinion that some disagree with. Many, in this case, disagreed with.